What's going on? Anthony M on the check-in. Another day at work. Another busy day at work. Wink, wink. Anyway, today's video is about a mom from Pontiac, Michigan, abandoning her children for 5 years. Okay, I don't know if those of you who've seen the news or who watches the news, but I read an article. It happened this month. These kids were found the month of February. And she was taken into, I believe it was February 20th was the date, that she was taken in. So I found this story to be very, very, very disturbing. It's like, how can a mother abandon their children for that long, that period of time? Abandon their children, period. But how these three abandoned children could be abandoned for that longer period of time without nobody noticing, that leaves me with a couple of questions. Okay, apparently this woman abandoned her 15-year-old boy and a 13 and 12-year-old girls. Okay, now what it said in the article that the garbage was piled up about 4 feet. Okay, in one of the rooms, and it was feces all through the apartment and just garbage everywhere. And apparently the two girls, they were sleeping on pizza boxes. It's disturbing. So my questions is that where was the family? You understand? The family ain't calling to check up, just to say, hey, how you doing? How my nieces and nephews, or even grandma, grandpa, if they're alive. How does this happen? And they haven't been going to school. They were found with their hair matted and toenails and nails overgrown. So I'm trying to figure out, like, how can they go unnoticed for that long? These things do happen. Okay, unfortunately, children get abandoned, but it's usually not that long. 5 years without the school officials checking in or calling the authorities saying, like, hey, listen, these three children haven't been to school. Okay, and apparently they found a mom living elsewhere. She was keeping in contact with the oldest, the boy, 15-year-old boy. So what went wrong here? And especially neighbors. I know that apartment had to smell. I know it had to been infested with flies, roaches, mice. You understand? So in a way, the building it looked like there was adjoining apartments. Okay, it looked like an apartment complex. Okay, and it looked like it was adjoining apartments there, adjoining units. So it's like, how come police wasn't called or anything? Apparently, the landlord wasn't getting. He or she wasn't getting the. It said he wasn't getting. The last payment was in October. So he called the police to do a wellness check because he hasn't seen her since October. So he had the ball, he's like, wait a minute, I haven't, received the payment, nor have I seen this woman. So you know what, let me do a wellness check to see what's going on. And the sheriff's department in Pontiac, Michigan, they stumbled upon this with 3 children. Their hair was matted, nails were long, they could barely even walk, and it was sad. I mean, they didn't show the children, obviously, because of their age, but it's sad to hear that. It's heartbreaking. And it's not like these children live in the woods or off the grid somewhere where you'd be like, oh, okay, I can understand how they could be, underdetected, because you're living off the grid, homeschooled, and all that good stuff, and you're living out in the woods. Okay, But I'm trying to figure out, I was like, how can they fall through the cracks like that for that long? 5 years. And apparently the mom was dropping off food to them. So all in all, and she said that the father, she didn't say fathers. She's, like saying multiple baby daddies or whatever. She said the father is not in their lives. So I guess that's why he never knew what was going on. But how do you have children and at least not speak to them? Okay? Or call them or go see them. How do you not do that? I don't understand people. I don't get it. It's horrible, man. And believe me, this ain't the only. This is not a one-time thing that's happening. It's going all over the damn world. This is always happening. That's why it's always like a checks and balances. But she might have to get evaluated herself, because for a mother of all people to abandon their children like that, knowing they're alive, and you just bringing over food and you're not taking good care of them, making sure they bathe properly, make sure, the house is clean, So I'm just speculating. Was she just did, I mean, if she didn't want the children no more, whatever mental illness she started to go through, it's kind of like, won't you just put the kids up for the state? Like, you know what I mean? Somebody will foster care for those children. Someone will take care for those kids. Like if I don't know if she was at her last wit, it's time to be like, you know what? Or even a family member that's willing to take them. Because apparently a family member wind up taking the kids in. But my thing is like, where was that family member the whole time? If they, it's a lot of questions that's not answered. So I wonder how this is going to unfold, because that was horrible. She doesn't need to have any children ever again. And hopefully, oh man, any dude that put a baby in that, man, I don't get it. My whole point of this video is stop having children that you don't want or that you're unable to take care of. Be more responsible. If you're in a situation where you can barely take care of yourself, and then you having three on top of that, three other children on top of that, I don't know what went wrong there. Obviously, she was there for a certain point, and then the last 5 years, she just gave up. In those cases, there are places for those children. Those children can be placed somewhere, unless you just want to continue collecting benefits, I'm assuming. I'm just speculating. Or collecting any kind of child support that the father might be, getting his check garnished. I'm just assuming. Maybe she's not getting anything. But she wind up living somewhere else. It's crazy. It's crazy. And what happened to the school? These kids had to be registered to go to school. So you mean to tell me they go missing this long and nobody sent, child services to the house to go check, to investigate? And I'm sure that house smelled. I'm sure that house was stinking. I can guarantee it with feces. So you 5 years stuck in the house, never went out. Not one neighbor smelled anything or heard kids next door and never seen a mother. How can that happen? How? That's crazy to me. Also, especially in certain neighborhoods, they got this thing on, no snitching and don't call the police. Things like that. You ain't got to call the police. Call ACS. Call Child Protective Services. Like, yo, these children are in the house 24/7. You tend to notice that, especially when you live next to each other or an apartment complex. Hell, even in a suburban neighborhood where houses are not really next to each other, but you tend to notice in situations like that, right? Just to break it down. If a person is not taking care of the people inside of the home, right? I'm talking about the suburbs, owning a home. They tend not to take care of the outside either. Overgrown grass, you understand? Garbage being left outside, garbage piling up. They tend not to take care of the home. So then finally people come along, start knocking on the door, leaving notices, okay? And I'm sure they'll hear some shuffling or something inside, And those kids were definitely being fed, but not taken care of. So she would just cook food over. So they'll eat that, and then, the psychological effect of them kids, man. I feel so bad for them. And it was for 5 years. So the oldest, he said it was around 2020 or 2021 when their mom abandoned him. So we'll figure he might have been 10 years old because he's 15 now. Okay. Crazy. And the other girl might have been 8. And the other girl might have been 7. 5 years later. One's 12, one's 13. Unbelievable. Well, what can we do? Well, things like that, you can't save the world. But what everybody can do is be vigilant. If you see something, say something. You need to stop that stop snitching crap. That's not snitching. Usually snitching, it comes from if I'm doing a crime and I get caught, for me to get off, I'm going to tell about another person that did the crime or doing crimes. Or I'll tell on my co-defendant. That's snitching. Okay? But that right there is being a citizen, being a human being, human empathy. I'm surprised them kids didn't die in there. It's crazy. Living in that, I'm sure they got all kinds of stuff, man. Ugh. Lice, bed bugs. And I saw a video, what made me talk about it today, I saw the video. I don't know if the person was, part of the what they call it, not the landlord. It was a female that was talking over the video. She was like, this is where the house was being, the way it was kept. And it looked like they started the cleanup process of cleaning out the house, and I'm assuming probably part of the cleanup crew or part of the, or representing the landlord. Because a lot of times people own property, but they don't actually live in that particular area. They might live across the country, or they might live, somewhere else in another country. A lot of times they just own the property, and they have a management team that takes care of that, and they get paid. You know what I'm saying? Especially nowadays, you can just do everything through, cut checks through wire, or they probably, go through a management office and they take care of everything. They'll have people come by, check up on the house, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Like the landlord didn't collect the rent, but the person that actually owns it probably lives somewhere else, and they just receive money or whatever. Sad. Got to do better as human beings. And there's tons of people out here in this world that would love to take care of the children. You see them all every time in the group homes. They have what they call foster care. You got couples that always bring children in to take care of them. You know what I'm saying? Through the state. And it's sad if you couldn't do it anymore. It's something wrong up here with that young lady. Not young. I believe they said she's 36 years old. But something definitely she got to get evaluated. So something's wrong for you to abandon your children and go live somewhere else while your children is living in like that. I couldn't even fathom doing that to my kid. I couldn't. That would be. I would just give them up. I would just say, listen, I can't take care of them. That's it. I can't. I'm losing it. I can't. I don't understand. Like, how could you allow this to happen? That whole community school system, they failed. They failed them children big time. But let me know what your thoughts are, all right? Take care. God bless, and have a good day.